How's it going, everybody? JP here, and this is going to be my video on Bates Motel, episode number 9, titled Underwater. And this is the second to last episode in season 1. As always, spoiler-heavy discussion here. I will be spoiling pretty much everything that happens in this episode, so if you are new to this and you don't want the show spoiled, probably don't watch this video. So, the last episode ended with Deputy Shelby's body in the Norma's bed, and this one picks up pretty much right after that. There's a nice shot of the hotel with a bunch of people or the motel and the house with a bunch of people standing outside as the body's being carried away, which I really enjoyed. There's also a nice shot of a foggy morning, I guess, where Dylan and Norman are carrying the mattress down the stairs that the body was on. But anyway, Norma pretty much fills the cops in on what happened, how she discovered the bodies, all that stuff, and eventually, she starts telling the sheriff about the man from room number 9, which I forget his name, so I'm just gonna call him the man from room number 9. She basically tells him, he's been bothering her, asking questions, seems really shady, asking her about Keith Summers and Deputy Shelby, and the cop asked for the sheriff asked for the information on him, and later on in the episode we find out that that information is false and that person does not exist. So there's that going on. Norma is pretty on edge right now. She goes down to the motel and sees all the people that Dylan hired and brought to the hotel, who were working for kind of him and that Gil guy, to process all the pot plants, and they're out there smoking weed, and Norma flips out. She really doesn't want them on her property smoking weed and stuff, and she just is so done with the town. Basically, she's just had enough of everything. She had this perfect uh, idea of a fresh start in her head, and it's just progressively getting worse and worse, and these guys smoking weed on her outside of her motel, it really just pushed her over the edge, and she's just completely done and wants to leave again and have another fresh start. She's thinking about moving. She wants to move somewhere safe, and has this perfect image in her head once again, and I believe she wants to move somewhere in Hawaii or something, but um, Norman, on the other hand, does not want to move. I'll get to that in a minute, but Norma also gets flowers sent to her, which kind of makes her happy, but it doesn't last long, because once she reads the card, it says, "See you soon," and she immediately thinks that it's the guy from number 9, and which, it is. So she calls the sheriff. Sounds a bit crazy how she says, like, she leaves a message about how she got flowers and blah blah, so it's made her seem a little crazy there. After that, there's also another plot thing going on throughout this episode where Bradley is still troubled over her father's death, and knows that Dylan works with Gil where her father previously worked, and she asked Dylan if she can see her father's office and collect a few things, and kind of just take it all in, and see his office the way he left it and all that stuff. And Dylan mentions her father to Gil, and Gil seems unhappy with the way their relationship ended. So he kind of takes that as a sign to not bring in Bradley. He tells her that, but she's able to convince him otherwise. He eventually sneaks her into the place, and Dylan's partner, the older dude, pretty much shoots at him, and not knowing that it's them, thinking that it's somebody breaking in or whatever. Anyway, they go to the office. She's kind of just taking it all in, and she starts going through a few things, and she sees some love letters from somebody who is not her mother. So she's a little bit emotionally stressed about that as she storms out. Dylan ends up helping her through it. and it just you know, I really don't like the where this Dylan and Bradley relationships go, and I had a feeling that they was gonna do something like that, and it just seemed such an easy move that it's just too easy of a, you know, thing to write in, and I'm just disappointed if they're gonna take it any further. You know, but he eventually comforts her into blah blah blah, tells her that, you know, how could somebody not love you or whatever, a bunch of stuff that I really don't care about. I really wish they wouldn't have. I just don't like it. So yeah, that happens in the episode. Also, there's kind of a little subplot of Emma talking to one of the uh, pot guys who are, you know, going to be staying in the motel, and he gives her a cupcake or whatever, and she eats it, and she's all high and stuff. It was kind of funny. Um, and then there's there's another funny moment where Norman brings home the stuffed dog that, you know, got hit by the car, and Dylan says, he says, dude, that's pretty weird, or something like that. That's just weird, dude. And I thought that was very funny. Also, Norman has a dream that he was drowning Bradley, and him and Dylan kind of talk about that a bit, which is, you know, such a weird dream to have. So he was kind of googling, you know, what that could mean or whatever, and they talked about it a bit. Um, Norma wants to sell the motel and the house, and she finds out that because of the new highway going through the town that's going to take all of her business away, that she cannot get what she paid for it. Actually, a significant amount less, and that would be about half. And she is pretty mad about that. She really wants to leave. Of course, Norman does not want to leave. He's like I said, I tell you about this more. He got some like straight A's in school, and he wrote a short story that we were just informed about, and the teacher wants to send it to a friend of hers who may be able to have it published. And they're kind of working on, you know, ironing out all the kinks and, you know, cleaning it up a bit. They're working on it together, and the teacher seems to be quite amazed at Norman's mind, and how, I guess, mature, and how much of a the way he thinks just is different from the other kids, it seems like, and she seems to be really liking that about him. So they have a few moments together that I found pretty interesting, and she also tells Norman that he needs to get permission from his mother, to get the story published. And Norman comes back and says he's not even going to ask, because he thinks she would say no, and which I don't really understand why she would say no. I think I'm missing something here, but anyway, the teacher says, you know, she doesn't have to know, we can do it anyway, or whatever. It needs to be read or something. So that was pretty interesting. The episode ends with Norma in her car, coming out of the place where she was told that her house and motel is not worth what she paid for it. She gets into her car, and the man from room number 9 is chilling in the back with a gun to her head, and says that Keith Summers and Deputy Shelby owe him $150,000 from the last batch of girls that they got, and that he has you know, confronted everybody else and that would be involved and would know about it, and they don't have the money, so she must have it. So that tells us, the audience, that she does not have it. We would know that by now. So I'm thinking the sheriff has it, because he did seem to have some kind of ulterior motives involving this case, with kind of covering it up the way he did. So I'm guessing the sheriff, maybe not though. And he tells Norma, you know, you have 24 hours or midnight tomorrow or something to have my $150,000. Of course, she says yes, fearing for her life, and, you know, figuring she could at least buy herself some time, instead of just, you know, trying to convince him that she does not have it. And that's where the episode ends. Not a whole lot happened in this episode. Like I said, I really don't like the Bradley Dylan angle, whatever they're trying to do. I hope they're just bonding. I really don't want to see a relationship blossom from this. And that's, you know, nothing really else happened besides Norma having some breakdowns, and Norman kind of flipping out on her, and then them kind of, you know, making up, and being weird again. Norman, the way he calls her mother is just so weird, and that's something I always liked about the series, though. I'm glad they keep that in. They just have a very strange relationship that is not quite normal. So yeah, that's my breakdown of this episode and stuff. Not terrible. There was some nice like shots and stuff in it, like I said. But it just this episode to me wasn't there, just not much happening except for setting up the last episode of the series. Hopefully this last one will be pretty good and it ends on a high note, and then we'll look forward to season 2. So I'll see you guys one more time next week, and then we'll have a long break. So see you then.